testing. First clip. What do you think, Cassie? Ready to go hiking? Huh? Ready to go hiking? Yes?
This is the story of Casio. Time had passed since our golden retriever Scotch had passed on. My son and Scotch had grown up together. At this time, Scotch, my son Gavin, and me were what made up this family. So losing Scotch was a loss of a third of the family dynamic and proved to be a very emotional hurdle to get over. I had no ideas or intentions to find a replacement, as Scotch was my companion for over 13 years, and in my mind, he was irreplaceable. Then one day, my son comes home from school with a request. He would like a new dog, more specifically a small dog, something like the Chihuahua his best friend owned. My first reaction was no, but Gavin had been getting good grades and doing really well in school, so I conceded. We were taking a trip back to Wisconsin to spend the holidays with my folks, so a deal was made to begin the search for the right dog upon our return. Gavin's Christmas gifts that year consisted of all things associated with getting a new puppy. That is, everything but the puppy. When we returned home, Gavin wasted no time beginning the search. We went through the newspaper ads, but found nothing. I was talked into going to the local mall, which at that time had a puppy store. It allowed you to take the new puppies for a little walk through the mall. Gavin assured me that by doing this, he would be, quote, getting the practice that he would need, unquote. But yes, we came home with a little rat terrier puppy.
Hey, Cassie! Hey, girl! You ready to keep walking?
Casio, the name we tagged her with because she was anything but a watchdog, plus she was pretty tightly wound, started out as Gavin's dog. Gavin fed her and spent time with her in the beginning, but Gavin was a growing boy, and as these things usually work, I, as the parent, began taking most of the responsibility. And as a result, the dog became more attached to me. It wasn't too long after Cassie joined Gavin and I that the family grew even more. I met and married my beautiful wife Bonnie, and along with her cute little daughter Coral, we were now a family of 4, plus our little dog Casio. Casio has cheated death a number of times over the years. Early on, she was hit by a car while darting across the street. The car was not moving fast, and Cassie managed to get hit, then roll, jump back to her feet, never missing a beat. People watching couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. I picked her up, and she didn't seem to sustain any damage at all. Just right back to her little puppy self. Another time, she jumped into the 4Runner with me. I was taking a short trip, depositing some letters into the drop box at the post office. Next, it was over to the drive-up to make a bank deposit. I pulled away from the post office, approaching the bank. Cassie had been bouncing around in the back seat as usual the entire trip thus far. But as I stopped at the intersection, I look over my shoulder to check on her, and no Cassie. The back windows were rolled down about a third, barely enough room for her to squeeze through. But I quickly concluded that when I took the turn out of the post office, she must have jumped out. Before I had even started to completely panic, my cell phone rang. It was an older lady in a grocery store parking lot. She had spotted Cassie and called her over to the car. She said the dog was fine and that, quote, she just looked a little lost, unquote. I pulled into the parking lot and was greeted by a very kind lady and a very happy dog. I was grateful and also very happy that Cassie was wearing a tag on her collar that had my cell phone number on it. The whole scenario took no more than 15 minutes, but the range of emotions aged us both a couple years.
How you doing, Cass? Here's Cassie after a pretty long uphill hike. She's still raring to go. Ready, Cass? She's still running. I'm feeling it a little bit. I'm 55, she's 91. Dog years.
Then one summer night, as darkness overtook the day, I was downstairs in my office finishing up some work. Casio was out playing in the backyard and suddenly let out a yipe. She came scampering in through my open office door, looking very perplexed. She began circling at my feet, but her back legs were somehow not keeping up with the rest of her body. I picked her up and found blood near her tail area. I could not see an actual wound, but there was definitely blood. We quickly rushed her to the emergency hospital, trying to figure out what could have happened. We sped through traffic, and we concluded that she had been bitten by a rattlesnake. The doctors were not convinced, as they could not find any bite marks. They did tests and shaved different areas looking for bite marks or some kind of wound. They asked us to leave her there, and they would figure out what might have happened. Meanwhile, Cassie's whole back end was becoming paralyzed. We went home as instructed, but they called us within the next hour and asked permission to give Cassie the antivenom. They explained that they were still not sure about it being a snake bite, but it may have been a green recluse rattler. This would make sense of the loss of control of her back legs. The antivenom was injected, and an hour or so later, and $1,500 lighter, she was back to pretty much normal. Time marches on. Cassie is well into her 16th year of life. The last couple of years have not been her best. She has lost her hearing completely, and I do not believe that her eyes are so good anymore. Visits to the vet have become more frequent. Seems there's always a little something to worry about concerning her health. The getting old thing seemed as if it happened overnight, though when I really think back, it's been a progressive thing. One day she wasn't able to jump into the truck, something she had done every day for years, so I gave her a hand, and off we went. Everything the same except for a little assist getting into the truck. Then, somewhere along the line, she couldn't jump out of the truck. So I gave her some help, and all was good. Then later down the line, she was having a hard time staying steady in her usual traveling spot in the truck. This little dog that was once so agile, all of a sudden was not able to keep herself in the seat, even on the smoothest of roads. My traveling companion began to be left behind more frequently. Then other things, little things, began to change. She had always jumped up in the bed with us at the day's end, but she began to fail at this feat more and more, until one day I built some steps, which resolved the problem. Another year goes by, and even the stairs aren't helping. She is no longer at my heels from sunup to sundown like she once was. Cassie now sleeps most of the day. She wakes early and wanders into the kitchen. She walks in circles so the click, click, click of her nails on the hardwood floors will echo down the hallway to our bedroom. This irritating sound continues until one of us gets up and serves her breakfast. Then it's a trip to the backyard for the morning potty break. She needs help down the 2 steps to the side yard, but is still able to do the return trip all by herself most of the time. Most mornings, this little game she plays gets us out of bed, and it's more than annoying. I generally lay back down when the routine is finished, and so does she. Cassie now has her own little bed at the corner of the room, and as I lay in my bed, still a little bit irritated, I'll glance over at my little rat terrier and smile, as I know one day I'll be missing these very moments. Ah, yes, these furry little creatures that start out almost as an amusing little toy, then turn into an added responsibility, and then before you know it, you don't know how you ever got along without them. In many ways, they become more a part of you than any other being in your life. For some, they are a constant presence. They're beside you during the best and worst of times, always able to bring up the best in you with a little wet nose nudge or a tennis ball dropped at your feet. Simple gestures to remind you that not everything has to be so complicated. A toss of the ball or a scratch on the head and you've made their day. You go into the deal knowing that they won't be around forever, but when they leave us, it seems so unfair that their lives can't be as long as ours.
Go visit Scotch, Casio. You're with him now. Tell him I said hi. This is your view from now on, Casio.